Faith is taking the first step even when you can't see the whole staircase. Martin Luther King. Hi, I'm Savannah Brock, and my life to this point has been a series of steps of faith and believing that God will provide for me no matter what I face. I love being surprised and amazed and having the confidence knowing that God will always provide for us when we walk in faith with Him. I want to share 3 things with you today in this presentation. The first is the difference between me and God. The second is just a little bit of my story and how it relates to the topic. And then the last thing I want to share with you is what God's provision looks like in your life, that in ways that you may not always acknowledge. Something I have had to really work on is changing that I've got this, I can do this, I'm going to make it, and realizing that life is not about me. I don't get to take credit for God's work. I don't get to walk all by myself in this. He is always there with us. He is always walking with us. And God laid on my heart a couple months ago that if I have to say, I've got this, then I needed to change that first pronoun from I to we. Because this walk that I have the privilege of being on is between me and God. When studying for this presentation, the verse that came to my mind is Matthew 6:11, and in the New Living Translation it says, "Give us today the food we need." I have seen this verse literally play out in my life, and it has been amazing to be able to look back on and see. About 2.5 years ago, my mom, my sister, my brother, and myself all moved out of an abusive home. And when we moved out, we took our furniture, so like our beds and our bookcases and our car and all that, and we took some clothes, but not much else. The first night we had tortilla chips, a couple potatoes, and a can of soup for all of us to share for dinner, and that was the only food we had in the house. My mom didn't have a job. I didn't have a job. We had very, very little in the bank, and we didn't know where our next meal was going to come from. What we did find out through this is that God always provides for us, and we have no idea when to expect it, how to expect it. I remember coming home the second day we were there and finding that somebody had left a meal for us on our doorstep. And God continued to provide those types of things throughout the last couple years until we were able to get on our feet again. Sometimes God used other people to be His little hands and feet, and I hadn't thought about that before. Which ties into what God's provision looks like in our lives today. He provides, He will provide for you meals, bills that miraculously get paid, children that are sick, finding a job, having a roof, having food on the table. But sometimes He also requires us to be His little hands and feet. He gives us the means to go out and meet somebody else's needs that He has placed in our lives for that particular purpose. My mom has recently been able to do this for other people, and it has been such a blessing to be able to take our lives from where we were and not being able to afford our food to being able to be the person that anonymously gives food and clothing to people that need it. For some of us, walking in faith will be trusting that even when we don't have any idea, there's no logical way for our situation to be taken care of, that God will provide a situation for that. For others of us, we're going to be those little hands and feet for God. We're going to be the way that He provides for other people. We may not know how our problems are going to be solved. We may not know how we're going to be able to provide for somebody else. But what we do know is that our God is bigger and our God is better than any trial we could ever face.